Well, good evening, my lovelies. Habari, and welcome to my review of episode 2 of The Real Housewives of Nairobi. I'm Camilla, cast member of The Real Housewives of Cape Town and otherwise known as the Queen of Constantia. And you find me in my secret throne room where I conduct my reviews and sometimes my audiences, private audiences. I'm apologizing for the lateness of this review. I have had a terrible attack of gastro this week. I landed up on a drip and I'm now on antibiotics, but I'm feeling a lot better. Having to keep my fluids up though. And I'm using, aren't I lucky, my little Real Housewives of Africa Summit bottle. Not sure if you can see that. I was honored to be able to attend the Real Housewives of Africa Summit. It was amazing. So I got to do lots of fun things. You do as a housewife, it's really great. So a few notes, if you haven't attended my reviews before, if you like, please press the like button. It really does help my algorithm. Please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and it also helps me produce better content. Please feel free to make comments. I always like to join in conversation with my fans or even my frenemies. Discussion is much encouraged. I work from notes in this little book because I like to keep notes, refresh my memory. My little graces are not what they used to be. So you will see me looking down from time to time. Please excuse me. I think that's about it. So sip from water bottle and we shall start. Okay, right, and now we can begin. Okay, so we find Monet in her kitchen cooking or teaching her husband to cook in a full face beat wearing pink feathers. I found that quite unusual, not something I would do, but I'm assuming she's doing that because she's being filmed for Housewives and so it's an image thing. When I was on Housewives, when I was at home, I did the kind of home natural thing and then I did the full face beat dress up thing when I went out, but I mean, that's obviously your choice, but I did find it quite funny. Boy, does she love her sexual innuendo. There's an awful lot of that with Monet. It just seems to never end. Then she starts talking to Charles about the evening that they spent, sorry, I'll put my teeth back in, the evening that they spent at Susan's sip and scent party. And so she refers to Dr. Maria as the aesthetic doctor, and she says, you know, Kenyans chase clout. Absolutely get that. You know, you want to chase clout if that's how your society works. That's absolutely fine. But she then says to her husband that Dr. Maria accused Vera of chasing the bag. Now, I want to make a point because there's going to come a scene later where Vera herself said, oh, and she then goes on to say that's not empowerment. Maria talks about female empowerment and accusing Vera of chasing the bag. That is not empowerment. And Maria is a two-faced bitch. Now, this is what I want to say. A few scenes later, you will see Vera who declares herself that it is she who said first that Maria was the one who was chasing the bag. So I'm afraid that Monet has got this the wrong way around. I'm just clearing that up. It's there for all to see. Yeah, as you watch this episode, Vera confirms it herself. So, and then she says to her husband, Charles, a bitch tried me. And he goes, he says, really? What bitch? Now, this is interesting. She doesn't reply. Now, last week I said, I'm wondering if this woman, who Monet will not acknowledge, who she says she doesn't know, where this lady Michelle says you absolutely do know me, is possibly the baby mama. Because why, when he says, really, what bitch, does she not reply? Does she not give the name? And then she goes on and she says, I told her, we write checks, you write Instagram stories and post. And I thought, well, that's a bit odd. I don't remember you saying that at the table. And it's lucky, you see, because I write notes of everything that I see. So I went back and I checked last week's notes, and that was not in there for what was said at the table. So I then went back and I reviewed everything that was said at the table. So, right now, when did she say it for the first time? I write checks and you write Instagram posts. I can tell you when she said it for the first time. She said it in one of her confessional sessions. So on Housewives, we record our confessional or diary sessions, usually once a week to 10 days, possibly once every 2 weeks, in which we film a recap reminiscing on the events that have happened in the past 2 weeks. So when she says she told her husband, she says, I told her, we write checks and you write Instagram stories and posts. She didn't tell Michelle that. Not at the time. That's something that she made up later and put into her confessionals. So I'm just wondering why she told her husband that and then inserted it as shade into her confessionals, something that she didn't actually say at the table. Something's going on here. There is definitely a relationship between Michelle and Monet, and I want to find out what it is. I'm going to see if I can get to the bottom of it. Right, anyway, so the other thing is I want to say, Charles, put on an apron, those white trousers. You're frying that chicken with all that yellow turmeric. You're never going to get the yellow stains out. That was really bothering me. It was a stupid thing to bother me, but it really bothered me. Anyway, Monet, get your husband to put on an apron. And then, of course, she was eating all that chicken with all that grease, and I'm thinking the grease on the pink feathers. I mean, talk about OCD here, me. I don't know what I'm worried about. They're not my clothes, but I was like, ah. Okay, anyway. So we move along, and Maria's looking around her house. She talks about having more children. I didn't get that in the last episode. I thought she'd lost a baby. I thought it was the only one. I'm pleased to hear that she has more children, and that was not the only pregnancy. And now she says she's house hunting. She's coming back. Now this interests me because her clinic in Budapest, I believe it's Budapest, she only opened her private clinic that she owns in January 2022. So if she's coming back, that is very fast to open and close the clinic. Or is she planning to commute? I wonder. Anyway, so she's house hunting. Now, I'm getting this feeling that Maria was meant to originally be a full-time housewife. She doesn't appear on the lineup of Housewives. But the feeling that I'm getting, we've had a full-on introduction to her, she's house hunting, all of this, and I'm just getting this feeling that she started off, she was meant to be, and somehow she doesn't gel with the other ladies over the first few episodes. And it's happened before in other Housewives franchises, that during the first 3 episodes or so on, things just don't gel, and she falls away and becomes a friend of the show. I think that's what's happening here. I'm still interested to know, Is she moving back to Kenya to open an aesthetic practice permanently, or is she planning to commute? That's just me being nosy. Anyway, it's a very short scene. All we get to know is that she's planning to move back to Kenya, apparently. I mean, if you're bringing your kids, surely you're closing your practice. I don't know. Do you fly to Romania every week? The time difference is not that much. Actually, it's like an hour, maybe 2 hours. Not that bad. Jet lag, really not that bad. Especially, I mean, if you can fly business class, not bad at all. Anyway, let me move on. That's boring. So then we get to Sonal and Maria meet at Kazumba, I think it is, dance classes. Sonal, you move with such beautiful fluidity. You have this gentle spiritual voice, and your body does the same thing. I really enjoyed watching you dancing, and I would like to have dance classes with Dave too. Sadly, he's a little far away. Then Maria arrives, and yes, his name is Dave. She has a dance with Dave. She's not nearly as fluid as you, but that's okay because we're not all talented dancers. By the way, Sonal, I just want to add in that your confessional look, that white outfit, is absolutely stunning. I'm green with envy. I agree with Sonal about an apology from Maria about what happened at Susan's evening needing to be in public because the thing happened in public. However, I need to say that they owe each other an apology because Vera went low, and I'm going back to Vera saying that when she went after her, and Vera said that she can get very, what in South Africa they call straatmaat, that she went after her for trying to secure the bag, etc. And it wasn't necessary. And in fact, they both need to get around a table with everyone there, have a discussion, and apologize to one another. And in fact, they owe an apology to Susan for bad behavior at Susan's table. Right, and then we meet Vera. Vera's at home, and she's having a chat with her friend, whose name now escapes me, but we met her last week. I'm not going to even worry to try and remember. So, and the friend's staying the night. I'm sure all of you will remember her name for me. And so, Vera makes a lovely point about how there could have been a parfumier at the Sip and Scent event. However, there was one thing that I wanted to point out. When you are filming a bunch of housewives, which is like herding cats, and you have a crew there, and you have various people arriving at different times, and you have drinks, and then of course you have Susan who did 3 wardrobe changes, and then you have a sit-down dinner, and then you have a game. If you had had a parfumier there explaining about scents, you would have run over time, and that parfumier probably would have had about 2 minutes of screen time if he was lucky. I agree, in the general course of events, it definitely would have made sense. I had an event where I had an astrologer, and it actually just kind of didn't fit, and the timing went all out. And you know, a lot of times you think all these wonderful ideas that you've got for your events, but there's so much going on and so much that needs to be crammed in, plus all the time that the ladies need to talk, goss, chat, fight, whatever, and arrive in their finery and all be filmed, that those finer details get lost. So whilst I 100% agree with you, I think perhaps it might have been overkill in this instance. But I do think you're right, if you know what I mean. Vera refers to Dr. Maria as an aesthetics doctor and a plastic surgeon. I just want to correct this. Not because I understand that Vera has a beef with Dr. Maria, but I want to be clear. Dr. Maria received a full scholarship to go and study medicine in Romania, which is an amazing thing, including accommodation and all her medical fees. And she is a specialist ear, nose, and throat doctor. A specialist ENT. That is huge stuff, ladies and gentlemen, and she deserves accolades for that. Now, I have a friend who is also a specialist who has chosen to move into the area of aesthetic surgery. Now, Maria does not operate. She works with injectables, fillers, that sort of thing, okay? And I have a friend who does exactly the same thing in Europe. The reason being that she can make more money and spend more time with her family specializing in that sort of thing. And it makes sense for a woman who wants to spend time with her family, because if you're an ENT, you're doing serious surgery, you can have disasters in the middle of the night, you can end up rushing off, and you can have deaths on the operating table. This is serious ENT. It's invasive surgery. So she's doing non-invasive stuff, and people are paid to pay top dollar, to have their faces look gorgeous if you're good at it. And she's got herself good at it. So all kudos to you, Dr. Maria, for your career choice. I wanted people to know that you were a doctor who specialized, and specialization takes much longer than just becoming a GP. And you have then chosen to actually create a niche for yourself. I want people to know that. That's why I'm saying this. I don't want you to be run down just because people have a beef with you. So Vera says that she told Maria, the only reason you're pissed, this is it. Vera says she told Maria, the only reason you're pissed with me is because you're securing the bag. As in, you're coming to Kenya and you want to make money being a plastic surgeon and kind of enlarging people's bums or whatever, and and you're pissed because, I don't know, my bum's real or whatever, and you're trying to secure the bag as the latest plastic surgeon on the block. I think that's what I'm kind of gathering from this. So Vera takes accountability of that statement. She was the first one who said, you're trying to secure the bag. Real street talk, that. Secure the bag. I've learned, I didn't know what it meant at first, but I'm learning all the lingo. Vera says I'm actually very sweet. And do you know what? I agree with her. But you do not want to get on her Black China, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B side on down a dark alley on a bad night. Don't cross her. Stay sweet when you're around her. Yeah. Particularly when it comes to things like social media and whatever. There's certain fights I think you could have with her, but there's a certain way and there's a certain place and there's a certain time. My feeling. But yeah, I think she's got a cute, warm side to her. I absolutely do. I just think, don't meet her down a dark alley. Be careful, Dr. Maria. Yeah, so now we go to Susan and Maria, and they are having a gym session, and it's my lovely non-alcoholic Pinot Noir Chardonnay de-alkalized, fabulous stuff. I don't drink. I think I mentioned that before. So Maria is sticking to her point of view, which is being an example to the youth. And if you are in showbiz, you should be an example to the youth, and Maria, you have a point with which I do not disagree, but you are not in the showbiz world. And I think it is a little bit supercilious to say that the quality of showbiz in Kenya is very low. That, Maria, is not going to gain you friends. Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Maybe that would be a good read at the moment, because that is not going to gain you friends. No. This is your country. You're coming back to it. And I would think that your main clients would be showbiz people. Don't say that sort of thing. And if you feel like it, go, shut up. Zip. Right. And then you said that your discussion with Vera was a conversation that was in public, but it was among two people. Now, that is a contradiction in terms. You cannot have a conversation in public among two people. No, sorry. So I'm afraid that was a public conversation. And you were both in the wrong, as I've said. So we'll move on from that. Susan, you look like a goddess in your confessional outfit. The purple, the hair, oh, the earrings. Again, envy, envy, envy. I want to learn how to do that hair. I don't know if I'd be accused of, what is it called? You know, when you borrow cultural appropriation. But I'd like to do it anyway. I think I'm prepared to take the risk of cultural appropriation. Just looks so gorgeous. And anyway, I have mixed race in my parental heritage. You can't see it. I've faded out, but I do. So I think I should just go, I'm taking it, my mixed race heritage, and I'm going to do my cultural appropriation and put my hair like Susan's, because it's bloody fabulous. I love it. I think you're my style heroine of Nairobi. Totally, Susan. Okay, I'm not getting the feeling in this scene that Maria is taking accountability for her actions at Susan's party. Really, yeah. I mean, she has apologized to Susan for the fact that it went down. I think they both should. I think Vera should too. But she's not owning the fact that it went down yet. Let's see if she does. Now we've got Lisa and Monet. Now I must say, Lisa, I love the fact that you, as opposed to Monet and the feathers and the full face beat in the kitchen, are just so natural. You're just being you. It's the morning, you know, makeup free. I'm up, I'm wearing my sweats, I'm going to do my yoga. And Monet arrives and she says, okay, she's going to do yoga. She doesn't know what yoga is. And then she says this. What are these, some of the things that white people do? Now, I just want to know this. Monet, turn that around and imagine if Lisa said that about a black person. If Lisa was asked somewhere and she was asked to do something, I don't know, a sport or play some drums, right? Let's imagine. And she said, oh, some of these things that black people do. Can you imagine the backlash? Why would her skin color even rate a mention in what you said? You could have said, I find this a really unusual thing to do. To me, it's just stretching. But I really, really don't get why the color of her skin came into the discussion of what you were doing. And I'd like you to think about it, please. And imagine if the roles were reversed. In fact, I'd like everybody who watches to think about that. On the same note, Lisa, a similar note. Your remark about Monet turning up wearing a wig is equally sensitive. We, as I said, I do have past mixed race heritage, but I look and am very Caucasian, and I am blessed with hair, right? Hair that I can style, do whatever. I mean, and if I really wanted to, I could put it up and I could put it under a wig if it wasn't looking great. And I do, in fact, have like fake ponytails and things like that. But we are blessed with hair that we can do things with. If you have traditionally black, tightly coiled hair, it on its own, it doesn't necessarily look great. You could grow an afro with it, you could cornrow it, or you could do what Dr. Maria has done, and you could take it all right down short. Now, I'm assuming that Monet doesn't want to do that. She works with a series of wigs, which a lot of my friends do, and they would not be seen dead without their wig on. You know, maybe a scarf, but I do think that some understanding is required from you. It's got nothing to do with health. I mean, people feel very uncomfortable if their hair is braided down in preparation for wigs to go out without a wig, because it's just not a look that they like unless they've decided to do the Maria look, which is actually quite unusual. And you know, if you're going to go with that full hair off, you need the right bone structure. Perhaps Monet hasn't got that. As you see, sometimes she wears blonde, sometimes she wears red. I mean, she's a wig girl, but let's be sensitive to the fact that we have different, culturally, we have different structure to our hair and different things that we can do with it. And obviously, if you can't grow your hair, then maybe that is what you want to do. You want to wear a wig at all times. I totally get that. So I think, Lisa, look at your sensitivity when it comes to Monet and her wigs. I absolutely get why she would turn up for exercise wearing a wig, because of possibly the state of her hair, how she's put it. She probably keeps it at all times ready for wig wearing underneath. I think we need to mutually cut ourselves some slack, please. This was, however, a fun yoga session, and Lisa invited Monet to her rally driving event, which I am really looking forward to seeing. Then Susan arrived at Lisa's shop, and I love the look of Lisa's shop. It looks absolutely fabulous. And Lisa invited Susan as well to the rally driving event. Susan looks like the glamping type, not the camping type. Susan's going to be challenged a bit, but good, that's great. Let's all get out of our comfort zones. And Lisa, then we arrive at the rally driving. Look at you in your rally outfit. I have to say we have something in common, although I can't say that I'm even close to you when it comes to rally driving. But I did rally driving on ice and snow when I lived in the UK. I did like a whole course and everything, and I absolutely loved it. And I must confess to being a bit of a female petrol head. I'm a vintage car collector, and I am passionate about driving. So I see you, okay, the rally driving thing, I loved it. Right, so you sent cars, Lisa, to get the ladies. Well, very good idea, because if you hadn't, you probably wouldn't have seen them until midnight. I thought that was an excellent idea. And so Susan, of course, Vera gets into the car with Susan. Susan seems to be totally starstruck with Vera. I don't get it. Obviously, I don't know. I mean, Vera is apparently quite big in Kenya, but Susan's like, oh, she's having this reminiscence of Vera actually arriving at her party. She's fangirling like crazy, you know. Oh, okay, well, I hope she gets over it at some point, because I always cringe when grown women fangirl over other grown women, but there we go. Anyway, so they toddle off in the vehicle, and then Sonal and Monet land up in the same car. Well, this scene is just so cringe and orcs, because Monet is ignoring Sonal like a stop street, and Sonal is desperately trying to keep this conversation going, and Monet is just ignoring, and Sonal tries again, and Monet ignores, tries again, ignores, and I think in the end Monet only makes one comment about, you know, I think she uses a Muslim word about, you know, with the blessing of, she thinks she's reigned at it's reigned at the destination. I can't quite remember the Muslim word. It's not the inshallah, but it's something similar. And it was just so embarrassing. I felt for Sonal trying to, I just would have stopped, looked out of the window, put my headphones in, and been equally disinterested, if not more. And the next time I'd seen Monet, I would have looked through her as if she wasn't there. You see, I would have double dose of own medicine would have been coming her way, for sure. But poor Sanal is just not getting it. She's trying so hard. So now I hope you see this, but it's, of course it's too late because you finished filming. But anyway, if you do another season with her, pretend she's not there. It's like, just pretend she's not there. Just look through her like she's glass. Because if she behaves like that, she's not worth your time. Diva behavior. So, Dr. Maria doesn't pitch up, which of course allows Monet and Vera to be ecstatic. It plays straight into their hands. Now, is she frightened? I doubt it. She doesn't strike me as the frightened type. However, she does not contact Lisa to say she's ill. She doesn't send any messages to anyone else to say, please let Lisa know I'm ill. She does post on Instagram that she's unwell, but that's not good enough. And Lisa has gone to all the trouble to book accommodation, etc., etc., etc. So this is the height of bad etiquette and bad manners. And when people do this to me, they don't get invited again. If it's a big expense event where I have paid for travel and accommodation, it is one strike and you're out. If it is a cocktail function, it's 3 strikes and you're out. That sort of less important event. So, if it were me, Dr. Maria, off the guest list. So Monet is giving me big mean girl vibes in her confessionals. I'm not sure why, but she just suddenly decides to launch into an attack on Susan, who hasn't actually really done anything to her that I can see, and says that she pulls all these faces and, is all la-di-da. And the only reason that I can think is that she's just, looking for clout in the showbiz industry in Kenya for being shady and mean, and maybe that's her kind of, sometimes people like to have a reputation just for being a mean girl, and some notice is better than no notice at all, and it's okay to be thought ill of, because at least you're causing drama and everybody's looking at you. That's the only thing that I can think of that makes any sense to me as to why she's doing this. Anyway, that particular short bit of confessional that came there, I was like, what? Where did this come from? Why? But anyway, she did it. Okay, let's see why. Let's see if she's going to carry on just throwing random shade. I call it amateur shade. If you throw random shade, it's amateur shade. You got to have a reason and to throw shade, and you should throw subtle and clever shade, in my opinion. Okay, so I agree with Susan. Susan then says that the ladies should all let the matter drop about Maria and get on and have a fun day. I agree. And then they do. The ladies get into the cars. This is really, really funny. And going for a spin. And Sonal says, I love this, all I see is metal. The roof of the car, metal. No cushion, everything is metal. So now I want to say this to you. I want to actually say this to everybody. So that car, all of those bars and all of those frames are in fact one great big metal safety cage. It's like one great big huge roll bar cage. And once you're strapped and buckled into that seat, and boy are you buckled in, you are probably safer in that car than you would be in a passenger car. I mean, granted, there are no airbags, but the point is that car can roll and roll and roll and roll and roll, and you're not going to come out of that safety belt, and that car is not going to buckle. They are amazingly safe. So that's what all that structure is. It's there to actually protect you so that you can do all that zooming and screeching. That's why it's there. They don't need insides, and they don't need headlinings, and they don't need all of that. They just need that basic structure. Yeah, and of course it keeps them light so they can go zoomy, 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 zoomy without all that added padding and stuff, all unnecessary. Yeah. So, and then of course, Susan says, oh, there's a possibility I could die. Well, now this is the other thing, of course. When you drive like that, you get adrenaline. And I'm reminded of why people go on roller coasters. Of course, the reason that you go on a roller coaster is as you plunge from the top, your brain computes that you're actually going to die. And that's the thrill, weirdly, is the adrenaline rush. And rally driving, whilst you're not actually thinking you're going to die, obviously, but the great rush that you get of this speed and the tail spinning out and the possibility that you might lose control gives you an enormous adrenaline high. And that's where the fun is, the possibility of danger. I mean, that's why if you go to any Disneyland or wherever, the longest queues are for the scariest rides. Obviously, it's the most fun. We all love scary things, especially when we do it. You get scared to get in, but then you go and you go, woo, I want to do that again. Yeah. So, Vera went, Vera gets in the Mobius. Oh, this made me laugh. She gets in the Mobius and she says, I'm in the Mobius because I'm the queen and I wear the crown. Oh, Vera, darling, please keep on taking the self-esteem tablets because they're definitely working. Working. So then, Monet and the handbrake. The long black standing up handbrake. You are never one to miss the slightest opportunity for a sexual reference, are you? So much so that I'm actually wondering, either A, are you getting enough? Or B, might you have a tendency towards nymphomania? Because this is all just a little odd. So, then we arrive at the hotel. The princesses arrive at the hotel. Ladies, get over yourselves. Really? It's clean. They've given you a pretty turn down with rose petals. The loos are en suite. You do not have to go down the corridor. And it is the best that is available in the area. I went and I checked on the average monthly income for people in Kenya. And it is 69,000 Kenyan shillings average, which comes out at 9,750 South African rand. Now, the cost of a 5-star hotel room in Cape Town is 5,500 rand per night in season. So let's call that half of the monthly average income of an average worker in Kenya for one night. So what I would like to say to you, ladies, is be sensitive and remember your viewers. You are highly privileged. Now, it's great. You are living luxury lifestyles. It's wonderful. Go and stay in luxury places. But if you're out and you're having an experience, and because of where you are, you have to be somewhere that is slightly less than you would like, complaining when you're staying in a place like that to a person who is earning probably what it would cost for them to stay in that hotel for 4 nights in a month, it's not attractive. It's not a good look. I don't think you should do it. I think you should pleasantly accept what your host has provided. Just putting it out there for you to think about. So, I also want to say, Vera, if you don't like it, call a limo. And then you said, again, white people, we're queens. You referred to Lisa as having chosen this hotel because she's a white person. What the hell does her skin color have to do with the hotel that she's chosen? Would somebody please elucidate for me what the correlation is? Because I really don't understand. Perhaps there is a correlation. Are white people known in Kenya for being cheapskate, for instance? Somebody please let me know. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the answer. But once again, I'm not enjoying this. Don't like it. It's divisive. In today's society, I don't like it. Ladies, please let's stop doing this. Right. Okay, but anyway, I needed to just say, however, that hotels, room debates, and all that sort of thing on Housewives are always a thing. Everybody always thinks that the lady next to them has got a nicer room with a better view, or that the one's got 2 single beds and they wanted the double bed. I mean, it gets absolutely hilarious if you've watched any of the franchises. They are always bitching, not usually in this way, about like the standard of the hotel, but they're usually bitching because that one's got a balcony or mine's got a mountain view and she's got a sea view. The pettiness is just beyond. So at least this, I mean, the pettiness could have got worse, I suppose. Okay, so now we've got Sanal and Susan, the soft-hearted ones, who are having a little chat about should they check up on Maria tomorrow and find out if she's okay and take her some flowers. My answer is, ladies, no, you shouldn't. She didn't phone, she didn't say she was ill to the host, and no, you shouldn't bother. If she'd done that, then yes, of course, you should bother. If she'd done the official thing. But you're being too sweet. Both of you, I think, are too sweet for your own good so far. And then Lisa, you come in and you visit Vera. That black cloak outfit that you wore sashaying down the corridor and coming in to visit Vera, stunning outfit. You look great in that. Vera, they're looking for once vulnerable and human, and I could relate to you, and I saw your sweet side and nurturing your baby, needing rest. Lovely to see that about you, Vera. I hope you had a good night's sleep that night. And yes, you must take care, especially with you, public figure, showbiz figure, always trying to put your best face and foot forward. Be careful. There's a baby there. And sending lots of love. Rest easy. Okay, and so then there's dinner. Everybody goes out and dinner's being had. And the next thing, it's Lisa's event, but guess who tries to take over? Monet! And what game does she want to play? The famous never have I ever sexual innuendo. Really? Did I? Monet? Sexual innuendo? How can that possibly be? Game. Which she lands up playing with herself because no one else joins in. So, never have I ever, what was the first one? Kissed a woman. Nobody answers, and so she drinks, you know. And then never have I ever had a massage that didn't end in a happy ending or something. Well, she doesn't drink to that, but we can all tell that she probably did. And then never have I ever had a threesome. She doesn't do it, but we all know that she probably did. And then she says everybody's lying and they're all stick in the muds. And then thank God that ends. And Lisa says it's time. I mean, Lisa's face was a picture during this. She's just going, I can't do her face, but it was hilarious. And then Lisa says, all right, everybody, it's time for bed. And Sanal is on her way home. And things just wind down gently. All I can say is I pray for Monet that she had really good phone sex. I think that's what she's up for that night in the hotel. I pray the rest of the ladies had a really good sleep. And I'm really looking forward to episode 3. Please like, Please subscribe. It really helps my algorithm. Please share by clicking on the share button, and you can WhatsApp my review to your friends. That helps me. Comments below in the comments section. Good night, my lovelies. God bless. Love you lots. Bye.